When most of us think of a United States veteran, we think valor, bravery, and sacrifice of those who served to defend and at times fight for freedom and liberty. Welcome to Operation Purpose. This is your host, John C. Hanson.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is John from Operation Purpose. I want to say thank you to all those that have been supporting us. I also want to say thank you to those that have been able to donate to the cold weather campaign, to those that you're keeping homeless veterans warm this winter and for time to come. So thank you. If those want to get involved in the cold weather campaign and your donations, please do. Go to operationpurpose.org, find the donate tab. Please think of us and those homeless vets. So I want to continue on with episode 6, part 2 with Dr. Charlotte McCloskey. She is the local recovery coordinator here at the Kansas City Main VA Hospital, and for this area, she serves as a psychologist there. I want to say thank you for everything that she shared with us. So now, as we continue on with episode 6, part 2, as we speak with Dr. McCloskey. Stay tuned to operationpurpose.org and always be looking out for our Tuesday releases for new episode. Thank you. God bless you. For whatever reason, this just pops into my mind. I was looking at, I think it was Colorado, if I can call out Colorado, and for homeless funding, I guess, homeless veterans, it was something like $4.2 million was granted to Colorado to assist homeless veterans. And I can't remember the exact numbers now, but maybe 800 for the state. And I'm thinking, you know, what is $4.2 million going to be for 800 veterans or whatever the number was? And you know, I understand that there's a lot of services and whatnot that can be granted to them. So it's going to be paying the individual salaries and whatnot. But still, $4.2 million, I would think they'd be able to build some communities that would, like Veterans Community Project, and that would be able to get them off the street and transition them into a better lifestyle.
Yeah.
Is that something that we have here? I'm sure, I'm going to guess millions of dollars are granted to this situation for the homeless community. And
I would assume so.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even know where to start to look for that.
No.
But yeah, no, you're right. And, you know, it's so funny because, you know, I think you can appreciate this from even the work that you're doing now. It's just, you know, $4.2 million certainly sounds like a lot of money.
It does.
Don't get me wrong. That sounds incredible. But, you know, if you start to look at, like, you know, if they, I don't know, like if they needed to buy a building, and especially with how expensive things are in Colorado, you know, how much of that does that take? Then you have to have people working there. You have to have, you know, the ability to provide certain services, because I can tell you just having a place for people to live is not enough.
Yeah.
You know, I wish it was. I wish it was as simple as that.
Right.
But it's often not, because again, maybe somebody's, you know, dealing with a whole bunch of medical issues or a whole bunch of mental health issues or addiction issues. So you're going to want to have some of those things in place, you know, and then kind of thinking about what that particular population is really kind of needing or wanting, and wanting to make sure that it's something sustainable, you know. So is there some kind of vocational help?
Yeah.
Because again, the way to stay housed is to have some form of funding that comes to you so that you can maintain, you know, where you're living, you know. So again, so, you know, and whether that's, you know, helping someone, again, we're going to have some veterans that are just, you know, because of what they've been through, and whether that's emotionally or physically, that maybe working's not going to be the best choice for them. But it's about making sure that they're getting connected to benefits that they deserve, you know, and whether that's through the VA or through Social Security or something else. So you have to have people in place to help with those things. I mean, so it's just, so who knows where 4.2 million.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I'm sure it can go through things.
For that. But, you know, to me, it's such a crazy number that
it is.
I'm just like, that sounds like you can buy the whole city of Kansas City. But
you know, it's funny you should say, because I'm thinking 100 coats or, you know, whatever we were looking at, or sleeping bags. And I'm thinking, And then I come across this $4.2 million, and I'm thinking, 100 jackets to 4.2. How am I going to make a dent? Exactly. So, so I got a hold of someone out there actually, and they had addressed, what some of the funds are allocated to, and yeah, it's taking care of the veterans after they get, in a better position. So,
yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. And then this is one of these places too where, you and I both know this, is that, I mean, this is, I mean, there are people out there that have really good intentions, but if they don't have a good structure in place, they don't have a good idea of what they're doing, then that kind of money can end up being spent on things that just aren't sustained.
Sure.
So,
and they may be, you mentioned addictions, they may be struggling from either alcohol or drug, and coming into now maybe a better lifestyle that's offered to them. They're going to need that assistance to get them back on their feet. So
I know
all the services that would be granted. So
well, and as a service member yourself, and I'm sure that you probably have talked to quite a few people that have veteran service organizations.
yes,
And I certainly have interacted with quite a few now in the time that I've been here, and and I love the heart that people have when they set out to help veterans. I love it. I mean, those are my people, right?
Yeah.
Those are the people who I want to connect with and know more about and all of that good stuff. But it's a lot. It's
It
a lot
is.
to run a not-for-profit. It's a lot to figure out how to do it. It's a lot of, I mean, it's not just time, sweat, tears, all of that good stuff, but it's also money.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of money to do
It
these
does.
things too. And so, so it's also that. So, and I think that it's so wonderful when people want to be part of the solution. So I never, I'm always like, yeah, tell me more about what you're doing. And
Sure.
so I will say sometimes I have seen people's plans for some of the things that they want to do. And it's beautiful. It looks like a utopia. But I just wonder how that can manifest.
Right.
So, not saying that it's not possible. I'm not ever
No.
going to say anybody bash that dream, and not at all. Please move forward with that. I would love a utopia.
Yeah.
But just kind of know the reality is it's really tough.
Yeah, that's sometimes a couple different things, though. The reality of things, and what we're trying to do. So.
Well, and that's one of the things too, where I think I told you about this before. So we do a mental health summit every year, and unfortunately, of course, couldn't do it this year because of COVID-19.
Right.
But I like to think that this is what I'm doing. I don't know if this is actually happening or not, but I'd like to think that what I'm doing, being in the VA, so kind of being the arm that can kind of reach out. And some people don't have anything to do with the VA, and that's okay. But reaching out to these other organizations, really, really amazing organizations that either focus on mental health or are veteran service organizations that have some component where they might be interacting with veterans that might be needing some services. But the summit's really to kind of bring all of those organizations together, along with the VA, because we'd like to be part of the party. But at the same time, I just know that we could actually create that utopia that I'm talking about.
Right.
And it doesn't have to be one organization. It can be all of our organizations coming together.
Yeah.
Because again, we can, the VA, and especially us, i.e. the Veterans Health Administration, we're here. I mean, we're here for healthcare, and we do a few other things, but we can't do the things that veteran service organizations do as far as creating community, as far as being that support network of friendships that we all need, that every veteran needs in their life. And also too, I mean, there's just certain things that sometimes some service organizations can do that because of things that we just either don't have funding for or don't have the ability to do. So really kind of trying to join up with them. And then also too, I mean, probably one of the most important parts of our health and wellness is our family. And so also looking to those organizations to say, okay, in what ways can you support the veteran family, and how do we pair up with you? So tomorrow night we're doing a webinar for caregiver organizations and families. And, very purposefully, we have a caregiver program in the VA, but it's not doing all of the things that these other organizations are doing, like Elizabeth Dole Foundation and Caregivers on the Home Front and a couple others that are going to be there. But, but it's about how do we start all coming together and no longer trying to be like we're doing everything.
Right.
That's just silliness.
Now, what do you think it would take? Say there's, oh boy, and this is pie in the sky stuff now, but, if there's 600 homeless here or 1,000 here in the area, what would it take, do you think, outside of funding, obviously a number of organizations to get involved, but to abolish homeless veterans that are out there on the street? Is it,
$1 million question.
300 tiny homes and transition them into, what would it take? I'm curious. Yeah, it is $1 million question. I'm curious what it would take to completely annihilate that homeless population for the vets.
Yeah. I don't have a
no, and that's kind of shooting to the stars here, but
I know some things that will work towards the solution. I just don't know what the solution is.
Sure.
Is that I think that I think it's really important for us to come together, and this is just me talking to myself. Is that I really think it's important for us to come together, whether we are the VA, whether we are an individual who just cares about veterans, whether veteran service organization, whether it's a humanitarian-focused organization, whether it's somebody who has somebody in their life that is, struggling in that way. But I think it's all of us coming together, and it's all of us trying to do what we can to not be territorial over who's going to fix this, because what happens is that, and this is just completely just my opinion, I think that when we say, okay, this is the only place where you can go to get care or to get this problem resolved, so i.e. like veteran homelessness, that's just it's going to make it impossible because it's just not going to be possible. But then secondly, the other thing that's going to come up with that is that we're also going to not give hope to people who are maybe really looking for help. So then, like, let's say that we say, okay, well, the only way that we're going to solve homelessness is the VA is going to take that charge and they're going to be responsible for it and they're going to fix it. Okay, well, there's a lot of veterans that we can't serve. So there's that. So we just left all of those people there.
Right.
Out,
and what are some of those things that would constitute the VA not being able to serve them or help them?
Well, it depends on what you mean by that. So, there are humanitarian things that we can do no matter what, because there was an executive order that allows us to see somebody for mental health reasons.
Okay.
Even if they don't have a honorable or general discharge now. So we can see them, I think it was 90 days, which is, of course, not long enough, but it's at least a place where we can get started and hopefully get them connected to care with, another organization.
Sure.
But it was supposed to be extended, and I don't think that went through yet, but I'm not saying that that's not. I just haven't heard that roll out yet.
No.
Or it could be somebody, and again, it could be the definition of a veteran. One of the things that I appreciate about Veteran Community Project is that, I was talking with Vincent just last night, actually.
Yeah.
And so, for them, they're like, okay, you served one day, that makes you a veteran.
Yeah, exactly.
We have to have you in a little bit longer.
Yeah.
So one day is not enough for the VA.
Hence some red tape.
Longer.
Yeah.
Right. A little bit there.
Is.
Right. So exactly. So so that would be some of those conditions in that way. And then also those dishonorable discharges makes things a little tricky for certain services. So 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 that's, again, where you're working with other organizations. But even within the VA system, now this is not necessarily for homelessness. But even within the VA system, we have another system that's within the VA system. But separate from, and it's the vet center. And the vet centers were started by Vietnam veterans, and Nate Widers is the director over there, and he would do a much better job of being very clear about all of their history. But it was started because the VA back in the 70s was not doing what should have been done for mental health. And there were a bunch of Vietnam veterans that just said, we need to do something to help each other. And so then they went to Congress and they got all of this. I mean, it's just really an amazing story. But then the vet centers were started. And then they're funded and they're part of the VA but separate from the VA because they're readjustment centers.
Okay.
Yeah, now, so it's a different approach.
Now, let me ask you, though.
But that would be someplace where a veteran could go, where maybe
a
they
vet
couldn't
center.
Get services here. They could go to the vet center.
Okay. Now, you mentioned 90 days, and, I shared with you a little bit last time that, I retired 1 March 2015 was my first day as a civilian. And I didn't go see anybody for my PTSD until July of 2019. So clearly that was out of the 90-day window. And if you have somebody that's separating and they exceed that 90-day, then do you recommend their best approach might be to go talk to someone at a vet center?
I'm sorry, I don't know if I understand what your question.
So if someone's needing,
went out, so I just got thrown off.
If someone's needing assistance, because like myself, I didn't go see anybody for my PTSD for years after the fact.
Sure.
And so can they still come back to the VA to say, hey, this is what's going on, or do they need to seek some outside attention?
Oh, no. What I was meaning by 90 days is that we have, once that person walks in the door, we have 90 days that we can see them. Okay. It doesn't matter when they were discharged. It doesn't matter when they got out of the service.
So they can come to you 5 years down the road and say, hey, I think.
20 years, 30 years, doesn't matter. Right. Yeah. And then hopefully also in that 90 days, hopefully we're also trying to connect them maybe with some veteran service organizations and kind of look at if there's some ways that we can, hopefully help them. And then a lot of times veterans don't even know that they're able to get care, that they actually meet. I mean, and actually any veteran can get care here. But it's different priority statuses, and somebody else will have to explain all of that to you because I don't even understand it all.
Yeah, that's okay.
But honestly, it's very confusing to me. Oh. But even in that, that's something else that can be, we can explore. But if they don't walk in the door, we don't have a way to help.
Yeah. Right.
So again, that's another place too where we look to veteran service organizations because, our suicide prevention coordinators are pretty awesome when they do their outreach.
Really? Yeah.
And they do a super, super strong focus. And that would be something I'm thinking about for one of your podcasts that I think would be great. It's one of our suicide prevention folks.
I would love to talk to somebody. So if you can maybe
absolutely. Not a problem.
Send someone
I will.
My direction, that'd
be
great.
Connect you. Yeah, I'll
that
I'll
would
connect
be
you.
Wonderful.
I emailed to both Patrick and Zach. So
okay.
So Dr. Zach Parrott, he's a psychologist like myself, but also one of the coordinators. And then Patrick Bainbridge, he a social worker by training, but also one of the coordinators as well. Both amazing people, and both give a lot of really great presentations on veteran suicide and what we could be doing and what could be doing better.
Okay.
But how much we need the community. This cannot be a VA driven.
No, absolutely not.
Something. Yeah, because I wasn't aware of this, and I could be getting this number wrong. So this would be good for either Zach or Patrick to talk about. But like out of the approximately 18 veterans per day that we lose to suicide,
right.
The VA only knows only out of those 18, only like 6 or 7 of them are actually even involved in care in the VA.
Okay.
So the majority are not. And for the 6 or 7, maybe it's 6. I think it's 6. So for the 6 that are actually involved in care, only 2 of them are involved in mental health care. So we have a job to do with the ones that are actually here, right?
Sure.
So there's 4 veterans that are actually getting care at the VA that are still dying by suicide,
Right.
that are not involved in mental health care. So we've been making lots of efforts to try to make sure that there's always a conversation. Whether there's, and I know it gets annoying for some of the veterans. They're like, why are you asking me about how I'm doing? I'm not here. I'm not depressed. My foot is hurting. Help my foot.
Yeah. I tell you what, though,
right?
I jest a little bit, but after getting through that telephone system on, it's funny.
Sure.
VA appointments is calling me right now on my phone, but
no. Okay.
that's funny. Anyway, they can leave a message. So,
Yes.
but yeah, after going through that whole, if you need to talk to somebody, I'm like, boy, oh boy, after clicking all these numbers, I might need to talk to somebody. So
right, exactly. But the thing is that so we have at least a captive audience here that we need to do better with, right? So we need to figure out who they are, not only the ones that are in mental health care, but then also the ones that are getting services, but we don't know who they are yet, even within our walls. But then there's a whole bunch that are in the community, and jeepers, we need help. Because we know that they're not walking in our doors, so we need people who are out in the community that will ask the questions. We need people who are in these organizations or in these places to be able to kind of say, you know what, I know this guy, I know this lady, and they're not okay. So, but we need to make sure that people have tools so that they know where to call, or how to reach out for help. And all of that good stuff. So, anyway, that was a tangent, but it's just, we've got a lot of things that I'm just excited whenever there's an opportunity to make connections with connections outside of the VA, because again, I won't speak for the VA. I will speak for myself. I will tell you that in the ways that we are hoping to reduce stigma around getting help for mental health, and then just stigma around mental illness. I need everybody. Honestly, I need everybody in the community that cares about veterans.
Yes, it is a collective of individuals that try to do better for the veteran, and it's just VA can't do everything, as you've stated.
Gosh, no, and also too, we've seen the problems with governments. I'm not speaking to our government, but governments where I'm going to get the terminology wrong. I did not do well in government in school. It was a totalitarian dictatorships, that kind of thing, right? When there's only one decision making, body, things don't go well. Honestly,
it does not.
It keeps things orderly, but it doesn't go well, right?
No.
You can have order, but then you have a lot of people that are suffering.
Yeah.
We don't want that.
You do.
We want people to be able to thrive, and our veterans deserve that. Veterans deserve, their lives either for the first time or to have it back.
Right.
So anyway.
Wow.
Me on my soapboxes. I always get on my soapbox with you. I don't know what that's all about.
Well, we've got to always have a soapbox to get on. So, that's okay.
Yeah.
But,
well, hey, listen, I would like to connect you, though, with suicide prevention for
I
sure.
think that would be great. I would love to transition over to them. A gentleman that's been dear to my heart all my life, and I think I've shared with you a little bit about him my last call. He's done our first 4 episodes with me, and that's Marvin Sandbeck. And Marv has he retired Air Force in '88, and he's just been a phenomenal warrior in reaching out and trying to assist other vets. And I've been speaking to him a little bit, and he's got a VSO, veteran service officer, that will try to reach out here hopefully next Wednesday.
Perfect.
And
that'd be great.
I guess he's a great guy down in Oklahoma. Couldn't tell you what city, but so we're going to try to get together with a VSO and see what we can come up with. Yep.
Because then that would be great, because then hopefully, because our VSOs, especially if they're if they are working specifically with helping veterans with benefits, because there's just so much red tape around that. Oh my gosh.
Goodness.
So, and I honestly think our VSOs are some of the best people to do that with, because that's what they do.
Absolutely.
Like that is their focus, and so understand all of the muckety muck that comes along with all of it. And then, I mean, I'm serious.
There's
I mean,
a lot of that muckety muck.
It's just confusing.
It is.
You know, I'm hearing on the other side as a provider, and I'm just, you know, I will be honest. I don't even understand how any of this is happening or not happening, or this process and all of that stuff. Because I think I explained to you last time when we talked, you know, just you know, when you work in one branch of the VA, you get to know your branch, but even within that branch, there's stuff that you don't even know about.
Sure.
But then, of course, benefits is a whole different branch, and then we have, of course, graves and registration on the other one. So it's just, I'm grateful that we have Veterans Administration, that our veterans are being served. But we could do better.
Yeah.
We could do better. We can
we can always do better. Yeah. But, you know, as long as we're recognizing that we can do better, then we're in a better place. You know, I know for VA for years, didn't have that mentality. And someone had to come in and clean out the swamp, and they did here a good few years back. And VA's done significantly more for the veterans, and that's wonderful.
I will tell you, I'm very satisfied with working for the VA.
Yeah.
And I don't think I would be if it was a place that I
back in the day
was not.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, who knows? Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough.
You know, when my dad was getting his care back in the 80s, I was a child, so I didn't know anything what was going on, but I think it was probably that kind of VA back then. But I don't know.
No, I think you're 100% right. So,
you know?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, hey, I will connect you by email.
Absolutely.
Then, I would love to connect with you again, and then and also too, if you could send me a place where I could actually listen to your podcast, because I meant to ask you that too.
No, let me just throw it out there. OperationPurpose.org. It's all on there. OperationPurpose.org. I think the last time we spoke, the website wasn't even up yet. It was coming soon, quote unquote. So, but it is on there now. So OperationPurpose.org. You can take a peek. Our podcasts are on there, and
that's awesome. And then
take a listen.
Just, and I was going to say there is. Have you heard of Veterans Voices?
I have.
It's a magazine. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sure have.
Familiar with them? Okay. So. Okay. I was just going to say, because I think that would be a great organization for you to get connected with.
Okay. I hadn't heard that name for a while, though, so I wrote them down.
Because you know, I mean, their whole point and purpose of their 70-year publication is to tell the stories of veterans. And so I'm just thinking with podcasts, what a perfect place for that, too.
I will look them up.
And there's just some great authors. And again, this would be veterans that are willing to tell their stories.
Right.
So, and also just what a cool organization they are too. I'm a big fan of them. So
Veterans Voices. Okay.
Yeah. We're hoping again, hopefully, when COVID stops being a jerk, we were thinking about doing a spoken word event with Veterans Voices.
Is that right?
Here.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's also a local group that's doing some veterans writing. There's a veterans writing program. I will have to find what their current name is. They changed it. I actually know the people who started it, but it's really nice because it's like a kind of a weekend writing workshop. And so same thing again. That could be something nice to kind of get connected with them as well, because you know you might have some folks that might be interested, and then especially with podcasts, as you know, they have to be scripted. Yeah. You know, because otherwise it's just, you know, well, they have to be scripted because otherwise people won't keep listening. So,
yeah, right.
So they're like, well, that's interesting, but you know, whatever.
Yeah.
But I was thinking that, and then there's just so many. Anyway, but let's please hope.
Interesting.
I would very much like to talk with you again.
Oh, please.
Because especially when, you know, when there's a few episodes on there, maybe we can do like a webinar or something and kind of highlight what you all are doing and let people know about it. And maybe in conjunction with
I'm really excited. Again, we've initiated our cold weather campaign, and we're trying to gather funds for that to get the cold weather gear, and so I can get up to these cities and try to distribute items out to folks in need. And I've been reaching out to Fargo and Denver and Minneapolis, and trying to talk to people up in those regions. So I'm excited to try to get up there and try to put a little dent in some things. So we'll see how that goes. But get this out there to let folks know that, hey, this is what we're doing.
And you know, and one organization I might just give you a suggestion is if you haven't talked to the vet center yet, you might connect with the vet center before heading up that way, because there should be a vet center up there where you're headed.
I am sure. I would wager, that there would be.
And then they might know of some good organizations up there that would probably have the ways to kind of find out where to help.
Okay.
So just kind of that networking might save you a trip.
No, that'd be great.
Able to do what you need to do. So
no, I was like I said, I was doing my research, thinking if a few jackets would even matter, and that's when I stumbled across this $4.2 million. I thought, oh my goodness,
right.
that would buy a lot of coats. So anyway, that's how I came across that, but.
Yeah. Okay. Well, good. Well, just let me know when you'd like to chat again.
I will do so, Dr. McCloskey. It was a pleasure speaking with you. So thank you.
Talking with you too.
Yeah. Thanks for taking the time, and I hope to talk to you soon.
With our suicide prevention
yes, please.
Folks, so.
That would be wonderful.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Bye bye.
Well, take care. Bye bye.
You've been listening to Operation Purpose with John C. Hansen. Thank you for listening to the show. We hope you've gotten some useful information, and we're proud to have you as a member of the family. Till next time, reach out to us on social media. This is Operation Purpose, signing off.